and
Okay.
let people know that it's there, and appreciate it if you do the same. And I am hesitating. I don't understand what's going on here, but
Yeah, it's like a little behind, a little delay.
what's going on here? Well, that's why we have the hour and a half.
Yeah,
But
get technology straightened out.
yeah. All right. Any questions that you would like me to share? Do you have something that you want to share specifically where people could go to your website and download or be part of or anything? If not, that's cool. I just
Yeah.
want to know.
No, not really. I mean, people can go to my website. I do have a workbook they can download, so I could steer them that way.
Cool.
And then the workbook will help them put together their own customized sales process. So
Cool.
we could always do that.
This is also going on YouTube, on my
Oh,
YouTube
perfect.
conversation.
Awesome.
So yeah, forgot about that. I said, why are we even doing? Yeah, it's YouTube also.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll definitely share and get it out there. I love sharing posts or clips and stuff that I'm in. So
Fantastic. All righty. And thanks for accepting my friendship on Facebook. I love your son. What a cute guy you have.
Thank you. He's gonna be 14 next month. It's unbelievable how fast it's
14.
moving. Yeah. We went into COVID. I said this a couple of times lately because it's been 2 years now, officially 2 years since everything started happening with COVID, since everything started shutting down. And he went into it a little boy, like he was in 6th grade, he was just a little boy, and now he's going into high school this next year, and it's just a difference, that size difference. He looks like a little man, like it's crazy.
It's so cool. It's we'll talk about it on the podcast.
Awesome.
If you want to.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's get going. Hey, welcome back to the Awesome Life Podcast. I am here with the most awesome guest. Aren't all my guests awesome? I know I say that all the time, but each one is even more impressive in their own unique, amazing way. I am here with Jason Tracey. Excuse my fumbling here. I'm watching myself on the camera. And by the way, go over to YouTube and watch us on YouTube as well. But for whatever reason, here in Maine, my camera is hesitating. So my hesitation, I apologize. But Jason Tracey, Be the Difference. Jason has a passion for small businesses, and he empowers purpose-driven entrepreneurs in sales and leadership by shifting their mindset so that they can really serve at their highest level. He then supports them by creating a communication strategy and a process that is designed around their unique personalities and experiences, purpose, and passions. There are no scripts, because no one size fits all. He does things uniquely and wonderfully. So if you're over on the YouTube, you will see us in all of our glory here, right, Jason?
You'll see the lion, you'll see everything. Yeah.
His company is, and tell me if I'm correct here, is a Roar Consulting.
Yes.
And I love the lion. I'm a Leo. I love the lion. So welcome, Jason.
Thank you for having me on.
Yes.
On the Awesome Life Podcast. I love this.
Isn't life supposed to be awesome?
It really is. It's my firmest belief that we really, we talk about Roar and the lion. We all have a lion that's, and we cage it often, and we don't allow ourselves to live our best life and live our awesome life. We get bogged down by life's vulnerabilities and circumstances, and we can beat ourselves up for the past. And it's just my firm belief that we're supposed to be living awesome lives.
Absolutely. It is a challenge sometimes to do that. So that's why I have the Awesome Life Success System, which includes all of the different letters of awesome.
Okay.
So it's actually a system, and like you say, personally designed. And
Yes.
And that's what it's all about, because we are not, we are like that snowflake out there, that there's only one. There is no one else exactly like us. Very similar, maybe even identical twin, but we're not the same. And I love the fact that you are coming to your clients that way. And when I was on his show, which was Everyday Riches, and I loved being there. And he told me that he was a business coach for coaches. And I said, well, our listeners are looking for transitional things and resources to have that experience, but maybe they don't know where to go. How did you get into this? How did you find coaches as your business, your Roar Consulting?
Well, okay, so two different stories, and I'll tell you how I found the coaches first. Well, okay, let me back up. I'll tell you a little bit of a story, and I'll tie it all together. So it all began. I grew up really poor, and I was working my way through college, and I was a nurse's aide. I worked at a nursing home, and I felt like I was really good with people. People would just give me things. I had great relationships. There's so many departments that were divided within the nursing home, and I had friends everywhere, and I was able to get special things for my people and all that kind of stuff. And I needed to make more money because I was picking up all this overtime to be able to pay my way through school, but I also had to go to school while working. And I'm like, what can I do where there's less hours in the day, but I can make more money? And so I started reading about sales, and I'm like, okay, if I can make commissions, then it doesn't matter how many hours I work in the day. If I'm really good at this, I could make good money, and I could, only have to work an 8-hour day as opposed to working overtime. And so I started looking in the newspaper, because that's what we did back in the day, right? We looked in the newspaper for jobs when we were looking for them. And so I found this job, and it spoke to me, and I ran out and I applied for it, and I had an interview, and I got hired within 20 minutes. And I thought, I must be an amazing salesperson. I'm on my way. I'm going to make a ton of money. And it was actually, I found out it's a door-to-door job that I got hired into, and it was very hard, because all the reasons, and I didn't know what made me successful with people then. I didn't know what it was, why people were giving me things or doing my work, or why I had these relationships. I didn't know any of that. Since then, I've done a lot of research, and I've done a lot of studying on sales. I've been to seminars. I've read all the books. I've hired coaches. I've gotten mentors, and I've done a lot of digging into myself to really figure it out and build the system of being the difference. But back then I had no idea. And so I was listening to all these sales managers who were telling me all these like tactics and giving me these scripts. And I just felt so uncomfortable, because I wasn't sleazy. I didn't feel good trying to convince somebody or trying to scam somebody into buying something. I'm like, if something is good, why wouldn't we just sell it, right? Like, why would? And it didn't make any sense to me. But I struggled really hard, and I was not only not making enough money to pay for school, I wasn't making enough money to pay for my normal bills that I had. So I got behind on my truck payment. I ended up having a repossession. I was getting eviction notices. I was really falling into the hole. And one day I had a sales manager, and I got this new job, and I had a pretty good sales manager, and he saw I was struggling, and he knew I was newer at sales. And so he said, hey, something I did when I was younger is I went out and shopped the competitors. I went out and I shopped other salespeople, and that way I could get best practices from them, and I could really hone my game. And I'm like, that's a great idea. So I became a student of the game. I'd go out and I'd shop all the competitors, and I made it after work, on lunch hour, any free time. I'd go out to car lots or furniture stores, or I'd go out to places where salespeople were at, and I would act like I was a consumer. And I was really disappointed, Karen. I was really disappointed, because I'm not getting any best practices at all. I feel like nobody cares. I feel like everybody's wrapped into their own desires. And then when they see me walking up, a 21-year-old young man, into a car dealership, do you think many people are fighting over who's going to come and talk to me? Nobody's coming and talking to me. And the one that does is the salesperson that got the, paper, scissors, rocks, lost the hand, and had to come out and talk to me, and is not thrilled because he knows that I'm not a buyer, right? And so I'm just getting this feeling of like I'm bugging people, or people are selling to me based off of what they like. And after doing this, I'm like, again, I don't have any best practices, but I have a lot of understanding of what not to do. And I have a lot of understanding of why I thought I'd be good at sales in the first place, is because I listened to people. I literally in the nursing home and the, building relationships, the reason why I built the relationships I built is because I would ask people questions and I'd listen to them. And I listened to them because I wanted to know more about them. I was curious, right? And what if I did that with my customers? What if I was just curious, but I was intentional? I know what I do to serve people, but I started asking them questions to understand who they are. And instead of asking them questions to be able to say, "Ha, I know I knew I had a product for you," like I knew I could sell you into something. I was asking them questions to better understand who they were, so I could better understand, am I a fit for them or not?
Yeah.
And if I am, how can I solve their problems? Do I have something that can make their life better?
I love that. And I love the fact that you did the research and development, the R&D. I mean, a lot of people do that and say, I didn't get anything out of it, but you did. You didn't get anything that would really serve you positively, but you learned what not to do, which is equally beneficial.
We can learn from anybody in life, Karen. And sometimes we sit and think that we can't learn from somebody that's failing. We can learn. One, just because somebody's failing doesn't mean they don't have good ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
I've had failing business owners come into my office all the time and have this idea that I'm like, that's phenomenal. Just because you're not pulling it off doesn't mean that I'm not going to implement that into my system. And I pulled it off and we for our company and we did really well. But I had a mentor that changed my life. He really pushed my mindset. He really I aspired to be like him, and I ran with that in my career. But there were so many things that I learned from him of what I wouldn't do too. For example, if I had a great idea and he took it and ran with it, and the company did well because of that idea, he'd walk around and tell everybody that was his idea.
Ooh.
Do you think that I would want to go and bring him more ideas when he's going around and taking credit for the idea? And it's just a little petty thing, but over time, when you hear somebody taking credit for all of your stuff, it kind of gets annoying. So when I became a leader, when I led my own organization, I made it a point that when somebody brought an idea to me, not only did I not claim it as mine, but I let the whole entire company know when it was successful that it was this person's idea, that it was Josh's idea, that it was Hannah's idea, that it was whoever's idea. Because wow, guess how many more ideas they'd bring me. And not only them, but think about the whole company. If they had an idea, because the people that are in the front line are the ones that are seeing the problems and they can come up with solutions. And if you just open your ear to learn from them and listen and understand that they may have a better grip than you, or they may see something different than you, we can really learn from that and plug that in. And the more we shout them out, the more we build a culture of people that want to help build. They want that recognition. They want to be a part of something. And when they know their ideas are part of it, that they know that they brought something to the table that made our company successful, how bought in are they?
Exactly. I love that. It is creating a new mindset. And I know that is what it's all about in every industry. But yes. I think acknowledging other people, unfortunately for me, I would love to acknowledge people by name. Unfortunately, I have a very difficult time with name, a part of my dyslexia, apparently. I've been told, I don't know. But it has been a challenge. I work on that daily. I am aware of it and I do allow it. So I'm not going to beat myself up because it's a waste of time. That's part of the awesome. But in any case, being aware of the people who do help you, exactly, the more you appreciate without going overboard, with being authentic, coming through from the heart, saying, hey, this did a great job. And it all began with Mary or Hannah or James or whomever. It's huge.
So we can learn. The whole point is we can learn from mistakes. We can learn from failures. Just as much as we can learn from the wins and the good ideas. We can learn from everything if we're observant to it. And I was learning from the only thing I could learn from the bad examples. And what I realized, the most important thing, and it's the foundation of my system, Be the Difference, is it doesn't take much to be different. It doesn't take much to stand out in front of the crowd. We all in business or in sales, we struggle with our differentiators, but really, if you're just listening to be curious, and you can talk and you make your customer feel seen, felt, and heard, you're already different. You're already on this plateau up here. I was working with a coach or a consultant the other day, is one of my clients. She's one of my clients, and we were doing follow-up emails. And I was asking her, when's the last time you had a conversation with this person? What happened? What was the next step? Where did you leave it? And she would tell me incredible details. Oh, she wasn't ready because she was having a baby in a couple of months, and so she wanted to really settle in. Awesome. So it's been 6 months now. So she's a new mom. Her daughter, son, whatever, is 4 months old. Include that in the message. Hey, the last time we talked, you were having a baby. Like, she should be about 4 months old now. How's the mom life? How's your daughter? And she's like, why would is that really impressive? It seems like everybody would remember that. No, nobody remembers that. Not only nobody remember that, if they do remember it, they don't bring it up in the conversation. And if I'm messaging you and I haven't talked to you in 6 months, and you remember that I had a baby, and that you remember I went on vacation, or you remember that I was striving for a goal, or you remember something unique about me, it makes me feel special. And it may be like a subconscious thing, but it makes you stand out, because most people that are prospecting me, most people that are emailing me and messaging me or calling me, are not making it customized. They're not making it personal.
And that's what is so important when you are making a difference in somebody's life or business. It isn't all about business. If you can make it more personal, because no matter what you say, you cannot separate business and personal. It just is not a realistic thing.
No matter what you're selling, no matter what business you're in the business of people.
And
people business.
Having another person remember you is so huge.
So huge.
And it's coming from the heart, isn't it, Jason? It's just coming from the heart.
Yes.
And that's what so many, that's what I found. Like with you, I looked around and said, oh, I want to go with this person. But you know what? I didn't feel the authenticity in them.
Yep.
I didn't. I felt, yes, they were out to make the buck. And yes, they did have some very good suggestions. Howsoever, I did not want to emulate that.
Yes.
And so take what you can, put it into your own business or personal life. A little thing like how you speak, how you communicate.
Yes.
Is huge.
Yeah. And everybody's different. And that's to the point when you're reading my bio, everybody has a different personality. And what I would see so often in the sales environment is I'd have top sales performers, and everybody would want to be like that person. I mentioned Josh earlier. Josh was a very gregarious personality. He was a very extroverted, energetic guy that people loved. So in his same location, there was a sales guy who was more of a C-type personality. He was introverted. He was, you could never tell his emotions. He had the same look on his face, whether he was happy, sad, mad, angry, the same look on his face, very stoic. And he used to always tell me, I'm the worst salesperson in the world. I can't believe you have me on your team. But he finished top 5 in my company every year. And it's because nobody questioned that he was who he said he was. Nobody questioned his integrity. Nobody questioned his intent. Nobody felt like Chris is going to scam me. Chris showed up as Chris every day. Now, it would have been so easy for him to try to be Josh, because most people want to be like the best performer, and they try to change their personality, and they feel like they got to change things about themselves when they sell. My argument is that Chris was more successful because he showed up stoic and C-type personality and introverted, because people trusted him. It wasn't about him making jokes or being funny. It was about, I trust this guy and I know he's authentically who he says he is. And so people bought from him, and people referred their friends to him because they got a great experience. And that's what it's all about. It's so hard to be successful trying to be who we are. Think about trying to be successful, trying to change your personality. It isn't authentic. It isn't real. It isn't intuitive. It feels uncomfortable. And so many of my clients have spent their whole entire careers trying to be somebody else, trying to fit into somebody else's shoes. I talked about my mentor earlier, and he had a certain type of personality, and so he could say certain things. When I first became a leader, I would ask him advice on what I should do in certain situations. This is happening. What would you say? What would you do? And then I'd go back and I'd try to copy him. I'd try to emulate him. And people would look at me like, why are you being such a jerk? Why are you, like, that's not you. Like, people would know that I was uncomfortable doing it, and they could see right through me, and they wouldn't follow it. And I had to realize that I had to listen to what he was saying, understand it, and put it into my style, because it just wasn't coming off right trying to be him. He had his own personality and his own swagger that he could say certain things and people would respect it. When somebody else said it, it made him feel like douchey. It made him like they felt like they were, like I wasn't being me, and everybody knew it.
And that's another question, Jason. What if you don't know who you are? You just want to sell and build your business. What do you don't know? I mean, you're a people pleaser.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yeah. That's Karen, that's where we really take the deep dive when I'm working with my clients, and a lot of people don't know exactly who they are. A lot of people don't see their full magic. I think that's I don't think I know my gift in life is that I can see through people's garbage. I can see through their head trash, and I see their full potential. In my job as I'm coaching them is to help them see what I see. And so that's the process that we go, and I get to work with extremely talented, amazing people, and I love what I do every single day. But the funnest part is when the light bulb comes on and they realize how freaking amazing they are. That they realize that when they see what I see, when they see what other people see, instead of holding themselves back because they think that they're not like Josh, or they think that they're going through an imposter syndrome, or they're people pleasing because they feel like they're not good enough, or they're not enough, I guess, in seeing and realizing that they are enough, that not only that, but they're special.
Yeah. I was admonished one time because I called somebody very special. Unfortunately, our languaging oftentimes, especially in the last 10 years or so, has been hijacked. We can't say certain words without it. I mean, I had a
connotation.
I had a rainbow flag at the end of my driveway. I still have a rainbow flag windsock at the end of my driveway. And a guy came in to town. He said, "I knew I would be welcome here because I saw your rainbow flag." And I thought, I just like rainbows. Yeah, you're always welcome. I love to meet you. So we know each other and it's all grand, but
I just like rainbows.
I just like rainbows. Rainbows are fun.
That is awesome.
So that's all there is to it. So bottom line, my husband and I have this conversation quite often about how languaging has been kind of hijacked sometimes.
Yeah.
And,
this was a good thing, and we even look at. I'm reading this book by a gentleman named I just lost it. Anthony Ayani, and Anthony Ayani is autistic, and he is the very first person, only person as of right now that is known to be on the autism spectrum to play Division I college basketball. And he played basketball at Michigan State. He made it to a Final Four. He was told, his parents were told when he was young, that he'd never graduate high school, never play sports, never make it to college. And not only did he graduate college, but he got a college scholarship to play basketball at Michigan State. He made it to the Final Four. Like, he had this great life. And so when I think about even him, like, when you think about how special is used for autism, or where you like in certain spectrums and stuff like that, they still are special. They are special. They've got special gifts and talents, just like every other human. And then they've got different deficits, just like every human.
Exactly. We all have those specialities. We all have those gifts. I love the fact that you see that. I think I read about him, and I said, "Oh, I just read about him on your
on my post." Yeah. You're like, I recognize that name.
Yeah. So, that's funny. That's funny. But it's a wonderful thing. And if we can look at the situation, the person for who they are, and see how amazing they are in different directions.
Yeah.
It can make such a big difference for that person.
It's such a big difference. I was doing the same thing. I was doing that with my clients, and I was able to build a really successful sales career. And then I got promoted to sales leadership, and I struggled really, really bad with it. I was doing everything myself. I had a hard time delegating. I had a hard time leading. I was thinking about just going back into sales. And then one day it really hit me. And just exactly what we're talking about. What if I took care of my people like I took care of my clients? What if I sat down with them and I got to really know what are their desires, what are their fears, what are their, what do they want to achieve in life, and how can I help them through this vehicle achieve what they want during this period of time that they're with me? And it made all the difference in the world. And I was able to elevate pretty quickly. I led the location I was at, and I was put in charge of. We were the highest producing location within the whole entire system in the region. And then I went to a company that was bankrupt financially and culturally. And my goal was to lead them, to pull them out of their depths of despair and to like build this culture. And it was like my proving point of my career. Like, because I already did this in this one location, I wanted to take this company and lead them out, and I was able to do that. And so I started this company, and again, they were bankrupt, millions of dollars in debt. The company, the owner was financially restructuring stuff. She brought me in to lead the company, and I came in and just develop people, just really tuned in and built salespeople. And I was working with a lot of young people that had never been in sales. I was working with at the time, it was in the middle of the recession or towards the end of the recession, and so I had people that were laid off from jobs in midlife. I had a guy that was an engineer that was in his 40s and lost his job. And so I was able to take people that are all across different pieces of life and experiences and show them how to really be the difference in sales. And through that, we built an organization that we had tons of clients, and they repeated business and they referred business. And so we were able to grow and grow and grow until we became one of the top companies in the industry, and we won Franchisee of the Year. We won all these awards, and we were allowed opportunities to continue to grow. And I was there for 9 years, and we built the standard within our industry. And we had 9 locations across the state of Michigan. And through that, I had built up a name for myself. And you'd asked me the original question. So the long story short, it came back full circle, I swear. How did I start my business? I kept feeling like there's more. I've kept feeling like my message needs to be out further and out beyond the walls that I was in. But I kept holding myself back because it was very scary to leave a good salary, good pay structure that I was making when I grew up poor. And now I'm able to care for my family, and my family has things that I never had. That was my goal in my whole entire life, was to reverse my family's circumstances, and I had made it. But now I'm talking about going and starting a business where I have no financial security. I have no idea how I'm going to make money. And so I didn't do it for the longest time. Finally, my boss pushed me out of the plane and said, it's time to go, because all these different owners across our system and across the industry would approach me about consulting them. And what I realized is that so many people start a business because they have a purpose, a passion, or an expertise, or they want to create something of their own. They don't want to have a boss. They want to, they want to go out on their own, but they either have no idea what sales is and how to do it. They have a fear around it, or they have this really deep stigma around sales is slimy or sales is XYZ, and it's preventing them from being successful. And 80% of businesses go out of business within the first 5 years, and a lot of it has to do because they can't sell. And so I saw this problem. I finally was able to, I got a little push from my boss out the door to go start my business. And so I started it 4 years ago. And I had the intention, I was going to go out and work with other franchisees and other companies that I had experience in. And I started working as a fractional sales leader for a couple of organizations, and that was going pretty well. But in the midst of it, I was going out and I was talking to a lot of coaches and consultants because I wanted to learn from them. I was going out every time I met another coach or a consultant out at a networking meeting, or I'd seek them out on LinkedIn, I'd invite them to coffee, and I'd go out and have a conversation, and I'd learn so much from these people. But what I learned most importantly was that these people have the ability to change and impact the world. They have the ability to change and impact people. And the more they can get out there and live their dream, the more they can go out there and empower more people, the better our world is. The problem is most of these people have never sold their whole entire career. And not
Mm.
only that, but they are afraid of sales. They have they get nervous when they, especially selling themselves. Some people have sold in their career, but then now they've got to sell themselves. And I know I struggled at it. I did sales for over 2 decades, and then I had to start my own business and sell myself and my own products. And that was so much harder, especially being heart-centered, right? We talk
Yeah.
about being heart-centered, and I want to help everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like I can help everybody, and I want to go help everybody. And now at times it's time to bring up price, and I know that they're struggling for money, and oh, it's like I don't know, like now I'm giving it to them for free, or I'm dropping my price,
Yeah.
or I'm not landing the sale. And so coaches struggle so much. And then what I saw happen quickly after that was imposter syndrome.
Oh,
Because who would want to work with a coach that wasn't making money? Who would
right.
want to work with a coach that doesn't have their own life figured out? And so what was happening is I was seeing these people that are so engaging, so incredible, so impactful. They were losing their dream and having to go back to work and feeling like failures. And I just saw them, I saw that opportunity to say, I'm going to share my experience and my expertise with these people. There's an opportunity for me to help them, and I'm going to throw it out there to help them. And then as that started building, I'm like, this is the funnest work I've ever done my whole entire life, because I'm literally empowering the empowerers. Like, talk about filling your bucket. Is I get to go watch my clients go out and change people's lives, and know that like I was a little part of that to help spark them to really get out there and sell and be comfortable and be themselves. How incredible is that? Like, it's so rewarding. It just lights me up.
It, I can see it. My goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't think of very much else. I don't know. I haven't experienced everything. I've experienced a heck of a lot in my years, but uh, I can't think of very much else that fills your heart. And isn't that what we want, to create joy? And that
Absolutely.
comes from the heart. That comes from inside. When
Yeah.
we can see the legacy that is being left behind, whether it be for you or someone else, how awesome is that?
It feels so incredible.
Ah,
I have a neighbor, and she came to my house a couple of years ago, and we were talking about business. She used to own a bakery, and when we started talking about her bakery, she lit up. I mean, she was like, I loved it. I loved getting up early in the morning. I loved the commute there. I loved my people that I had working for me. I loved making good food. I loved watching people's faces as they ate the good food, and know that I was giving back, and that they enjoyed what I was doing, and that it made a part of their day. She was talking so passionately about it, and I was like getting emotional. And then instantly her whole entire body language changed, and she said, but we just couldn't make money, and was having a hard time. And then we had to start taking money out of my husband's payroll, or his paycheck, in order to make sure we were meeting ends and paying bills and making payroll. And she ended it with, you couldn't pay me to start a business again. You couldn't pay me to be a business owner.
mm,
And I was like, what if they did pay you? What if they would have paid you in the first place? Would you still be a business owner today? And she was like, I never really thought about it like that. I'm like, I just saw how much passion and enjoyment you had for what you did, for your business. And the only thing that was missing was making money. If you would have made money in the first place, you'd still be doing that today, and you'd be so happy. Like, so that's what I do, is I help people to learn how to make money, how to overcome their mindset and their belief system around what sales is, what asking for money is, what revenue generation is. To me, selling is serving at the highest level. It's, you can literally, I've had clients travel over an hour to see me, and I've had clients wait in line for for well over an hour just to see me, because I listened to them, because I took care of them, because I was able to fit their needs, right? And so that was awesome for me. But then when I built a whole entire organization of salespeople that had, I'd walk into any location and they had lines waiting for Hannah and Josh and Matt and Sherman and all these people, that like, that's incredible. I taught a whole entire organization how to be the difference. And we were able to take this organization that was struggling and build it into one of the top, because our clients loved us, because our people loved being there, and because they loved helping their clients, and because our clients loved us because of it. It was like this whole ecosystem that kept feeding itself.
I love that. I love that. You are the difference. So you are helping your clients be the difference,
Be the
which is
difference.
actually makes the difference for you too. So it's a win-win situation. And isn't
Win-win.
that what every interaction, including marriage, has to be a win-win situation?
Yes. Yes.
And I was talking to somebody, another coach, and she said, "Oh no, I think collaboration is or not collab. Yeah, finding a way to collaborate is fine, but being able to back off upon occasion is not fine. You have to be yourself all the time." And I thought, really? That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes you need to step back and be the follower, and sometimes you need to be the leader.
Yes.
And that's what you were talking about with your ideas coming from your team. Hey, they were the leaders in coming up with those ideas. And by not taking it from them, you allowed them to be the leaders as they followed you as you implemented those ideas with the rest of your team.
Yes. It's so huge I'm such a big believer that it's important to be authentic and to be ourselves. At the same time, we have to understand it's not all about us.
Exactly.
Life is not all about us. We've got to learn from other people. My wife, when we first got together, we had a ton of arguments because I was selfish and she was selfish, right? And it took these brutal knockdown arguments and then the emotions to subside before we were like, okay, you're right. Oh my God, I didn't know you felt that way. And luckily now over time, it doesn't take the knockdown drag out fights in order for us to see and realize each other. But like, I've changed so much through this relationship and she's changed so much in this relationship because we've learned from each other.
Yeah.
And I've developed who I am based around that in a good way. I listen more, and I think it's a kind of probably a man thing, and every woman listening can agree, is like, I wanted to solve every problem. If she was telling me the problems of her day, I wanted to take that pain away and solve her problem. Well, I learned pretty quickly that, well, I didn't learn quickly. I had to learn with bumps on the head over and over again, not literally or physically, but like taking the lumps essentially, is that all she wanted me to do was listen.
Yeah.
She didn't want me to solve for the problem. And so as I'm trying to solve for the problem, she's getting upset, and then I'm upset because my feelings are hurt. And like, it's not about my feelings. It was about her feelings in the first place. I wanted to help her in the first place. Why am I now adding to her problems?
and listening is the key. Listening is the key. And like you, I'm a solution finder, and I've done that more than once myself. Although I'm not a man, I've done that a lot, and it isn't helpful sometimes. Sometimes it's very important just to say, how can I help?
Yeah.
And wait for the answer, and just listen and acknowledge and appreciate where I'm coming from.
Yes. And we want to talk about learning ourselves. We learn from ourselves the most, like, and I was getting triggered when she would reject my advice, and all of a sudden I'd be upset. Why is that triggering me?
Yeah.
What is that about me? So we talk about really being authentic, not the surface. We got to go below the surface and really understand ourselves. What is it about my life that triggers me? Why do I get upset when she rejects my advice?
Yeah.
And then I had to really dig into that and go into that and really realize there's a lot of times in my childhood that I was rejected, or my abusive dad, and all these different things. I had to really, and now I can rewrite that.
Exactly.
I can overcome that.
Once you bring it to your consciousness, you can rewrite that anyway. I was reading a book by Goldie Hawn's autobiography, and it was like, wait a minute, she went through what I consider horrible things. And she just was saying, well, that's what happened, and it wasn't his fault. And because, he was doing the best he could. And I thought, what? I said, this is obviously from your experience with counseling. I think you had to write your journal out in a positive note, turning it around. And I thought, it worked. So
You
anyway,
know, and I really resonate with this. And I very briefly mentioned I had an abusive father. I had a very abusive father. I spent a good majority of my life being a victim, blaming all my problems on my childhood experience, on my dad, on my being poor, on my circumstances. It's like, I'm here because of this, this, and this. I'm here because my dad did this to me. I'm here because, you know, I did a lot of blaming. And then one day I had this realization. My dad committed suicide at 43. And I'm sitting there like, I'm so angry at this guy, at this man that can't even feel it.
mm,
And then I started thinking even deeper, like, I'm not the victim. Like, he's literally dead. He literally
mm,
like didn't believe he had anything in the world, you know, like, and literally committed suicide and ended his life because he didn't feel like he had anything or he didn't have a way out, right? I realized that I could fix myself. I realized that I have the tools and the resources, and if I surround myself around people and I get help, that I don't have to live this way. I don't have to repeat the cycle. I don't have to be abusive. I don't have to be verbally or physically abusive. You know, I don't have to do the things that he did. He was trapped in his experiences that he had with his father, and he didn't know how to get the help. And so he was the victim. He was the victim because he never got to know his grandson. He never got to know two amazing kids and me and my brother that he had. He never got to see what we were doing in life. Like,
mm.
that makes me incredibly sad for him. Me, I'm still living. I get to have a son that I get to pour into and be a father that I never had, you know. And so looking at all these things, I'm not a victim. And I got to learn from that experience. And I can say with the straightest face that a man that I hated, a man that I said that the only way that I'd ever go see him was is if he was dead, and I'd go to his funeral just to confirm he was dead. And I did. When he died, I went to his funeral just to make sure he was dead, to make sure that he was no longer around, or I didn't have to fear him popping up at my house anymore, because he stalked us for a long time.
Mm.
You know, I I have nothing but, man, I feel really bad for him.
Compassion.
I have this
Compassion
compassion.
and forgiveness comes from compassion, I do believe. You know, if you find that you cannot forgive a situation, if you can find the compassion for the situation, then forgiveness shows up, because it's basically forgiving how we are feeling about a situation, not forgiving the situation itself.
Yes, and anybody, somebody listening might be like, how could you do that? How, you know, you have an abuser, how could you just let them off the hook? Well, I'm not letting them off the hook for
Mm.
them. I
No,
got to let that anger and that resentment out for me,
exactly.
because I'm being victimized twice if I'm holding on to that. You know, like,
Exactly.
that is worse than what he did to me at the time. You know,
Yeah.
that is worse than the experience that we had, because I'm living with it and I'm holding myself back to it, and I'm holding this anger in, and and again, I am more likely to repeat his cycles if I'm walking around angry all the time.
Exactly. Exactly. That is so, so, so huge. And so many of the people who come to me initially, that's what's stopping them. And it was comical. I remember sitting with somebody and in a situation, and I said, you know what? I totally forgive this other person. And the person I was speaking to said, how can you do that after all the horrible things that occurred to you? How could you do that? It's because I'm not a victim. I have compassion for where they're coming from. Does that mean that I'm going to forget it? No, I'm just not going to be triggered by it anymore, because I respect myself a whole lot more. And let's look at the real situation. Like you were saying, I get to sit here with you
Right?
and enjoy you.
Yes.
Are you sitting and enjoying them? No, I'm never going to see him again. Well, there you go. How can I be unhappy? Because the fact is, not that I won or anything else, just appreciate where you are. Your Everyday Riches show tells us
Yeah.
about that. So,
Have the gratitude. There's great things happening. And if you have gratitude, you can point out what you have gratitude for. One, you learn more about yourself. You learn more about your core values. And guess what? You can go find more of that. If you sit and think about what you don't want all the time, guess what you're attracting into your life? more of that. You're attracting, and it sounds crazy because it's not like you're purposely going out and finding it. But if you ever hear somebody say that's just my luck, that's what they're finding. It's what they're manifesting over and over. I know because I did it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I see it all the time. And he says, don't you see what's going on here? Oh, my goodness. Well, Jason, I thank you so, so much for our time together. And I look forward to lots more time together. And tell people, how are they going to be able to find you?
Yeah, so you can find me. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. So you can find me just Jason Tracey on LinkedIn. Same thing on Facebook. And then my website is www.roar, R-O-A-R, so roar like the lion, .consulting. So roar.consulting.
Fantastic. And they could contact you there.
Yes. And they do, I like I've mentioned to you before, there is if you go into the contact us, there is a Be the Difference workbook. If you're interested in learning more about the sales system and how you can customize a sales system, you can go in and click, and you'll get a download for the workbook, so you can go through and customize it. And you'll also get a 30-minute call with me. So we can go through. Wow. You can fill out the workbook, and then you can get a 30-minute consultation to go through and take a little bit of a deeper dive.
Wow, that's very generous. Very generous. So everybody who is listening, please take advantage of Jason's opportunity here, because he is amazing, and he does help coaches and apparently also corporations and businesses larger.
More small businesses. I'm in the small business sector as opposed to corporate.
Oh, okay. So it really is important to learn how to lead in order to grow. And Jason is the guy to speak to about that. There's no question. So thank you again for being with the Awesome Life podcast. And with me, I am very grateful to have you in my life.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on. And I really enjoyed this conversation.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
How's it go?
That was awesome.
Did you enjoy? I totally enjoyed. Thank you so much.
Oh, I did. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And you never know where these conversations go. I didn't even tend to bring that part up, but when you mentioned it, it was like, we're going to go in. We're going to dive deep into the.
Well, that was it. The conversations are interesting, to say the least. So, yeah. Well, yeah. I just seeing that we are doing so much of the same thing. I really appreciate having you collaborate as opposed to competition.
Oh, it's collaboration all day. For me, it takes an army of us to really make a change.
Well, that's it. We can't do it. One person cannot take care of the 8 billion people in the world.
No. When Barbara mentioned you a couple of months ago about people pleasing, and I went and checked out your LinkedIn, and I connected with you because I was like, this is awesome. I can't wait to talk to you. And I'm so glad we hit it off as well as I thought we were. And we're having this conversation. So
it's great. Great. Well, you have a wonderful day, and we'll stay in touch. If I can be beneficial in any way, just reach out or just have a conversation, have a few laughs.
Sounds good. Thanks, Karen. Have a great
Take
day.
Care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.